Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek Podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek Podcast.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of the Get Geek Podcast. Today we have ourselves a crew of two. I'm Jose.
This is Wolfie.
And today we're going to talk about one of our favorite shows, this crew of two, myself and Wolfie, one of our favorite shows, animes, TV shows that's on right now. We're going to do a Geek Out, basically, kind of episode of the anime, Attack on Titan. We're going to talk about it all the way up until the most recent episode in the sub, which just came out on, I just saw it on Funimation now. I believe you said you were watching it on Hulu, correct, Wolfie?
Yeah, and Funimation as well. I switched over to Funimation. I actually forgot that I had a subscription to Funimation.
That's right. You
switched it over there.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a episode length geek out about one of our favorite shows, and a show that we are trying to pressure the rest of the crew to watch, and that they will watch eventually. But first, if I may, let me do a couple of disclaimers. Or a couple of mentions. We are recording remotely as always, so if there are any sound issues, artifacts, or other problems that you have with the audio or any other issues with the episode, please let us know. Feedback is always welcome, as is any type of interaction from the fans. And the best way to interact with your favorite podcast is to like, rate, share, and subscribe to your favorite podcast. You know the spiel. You can find us wherever your favorite podcasts are sold. Please find us on your favorite podcast platforms and like, rate, share, and subscribe to the Get Geek Podcast. Let us know what you think and give us some suggestions for future episodes. But anyways, yeah, what's going on? Let's talk about, I guess, what we've been geeking out about over the last couple of days or last couple of weeks. And I think I have to start first because mine's actually really pretty cool. Besides, I guess the geek out in terms of TV, anime, manga, movies, television shows, all that stuff. I actually got a puppy, and I think that's actually something that's pretty cool to geek out about.
Hells yeah! I love dogs.
Oh, man,
I already can't wait to meet Ophi.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
his name is Ophi.
His name is Ophi. Can you explain a little bit about the name?
Ophi. So, I can't recall his breed. His breed is a difficult breed to remember that I have never heard of before, and I could definitely look it up.
I thought it was a mutt.
Well, at least I guess whatever they put down as his most dominant breed, and we got him at Care of Dutchess County. So we got him in upstate New York. We adopted him at a shelter there, and they're really great. And I definitely want to shout them out because they take great care of the pets there, and they take good care of the animals, and they really, really try to help you through the process in a way that's good for you and for the animal, which is always great to see. But yeah, we adopted him from there, and the breed that he is, so the word for his breed is a Choctaw Native American word. All right, so we got the idea, like, or I kind of got the idea in my head, I should say, that, you know, what if we figured out what his name, I think the word was lake in Choctaw, whatever his breed was. So I was like, what if we figure out what that is in like different languages and see what's kind of like a cute name for him? And my girlfriend was like, what about if we found out what the word dog was in Choctaw, basically? And that word is Ophi. So we were like, that's actually pretty, like, he's all black, and he's 10 weeks old, about 11 weeks old. So he's a puppy. But I mean, you know, he's just got, I don't know, he's got an Ophi look to him. He looks like an Ophi. And
I like Ophi. Ophi's a cool name.
Yeah,
I like
he's
that.
like 8 or 9 pounds.
I like that.
And yeah, so far he's been great. You know what I mean? He's actually already doing his business on the pads, which is pretty amazing. He's had like one or two small accidents. For a puppy that small is freaking
Yeah.
amazing. His demeanor is awesome. He doesn't really bark that much, and that can change as they get older, sure. But when they're a puppy, is kind
And
of
as
a
they
good
get more
vibe.
comfortable too.
Yeah. But he's also really comfortable. It seems. He's playing a lot and he's active, but he doesn't seem too nervous. He doesn't get startled a lot. And it seems like he's adjusting well, which for me is great. I'm really happy to see that he seems like he's adjusting well to the space, and he's definitely like snuggling and falling asleep in our laps and all that good stuff. So he seems to be comfortable around us, and we definitely love him. He's adorable. He's cute. His name is Ophi, and he's my dog now. So I'm geeking out about that, and it's pretty freaking awesome. But I guess getting back to more traditional geek outs, I finished at least as far as the anime continues in terms of Netflix. I finished it on Netflix. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So I watched what they have played out so far with Jotaro Kujo, and Mr. Joestar, and Kakyoin, and Avdol, and Iggy, and all those other fantastic and wild and bizarre, definitely bizarre characters
Definitely
from
bizarre.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So yeah, it was pretty good. I do have to say, I know the manga continues, and I'd be curious to see where it goes beyond this. I'm not super satisfied with the ending for a few of these characters' arcs. I'm not sure how I should go with
Really? No, I'm
spoilers.
not that far at all. I am only. I mean, I'm barely into the first season. Basically, I got like 10, 12 episodes under me.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but I mean, I loved it. I definitely enjoyed the anime as a whole, but I think that maybe it's because it's not complete as far as where the manga is continuing the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because you definitely, for me, feel that. I mean, you'll see as the show continues on, you'll feel like a sense of where is this going between seasons for sure. So I think it's
Yeah.
maybe that, and maybe as they continue, hopefully with the anime, we'll find out a little bit more of a satisfying, uh, at least reason for the way that these arcs ended up. And there's some great characters that, like I mentioned some of them by name. I guess that was a bit of a spoiler, but like I said, you're gonna love some of the characters, but it's definitely a totally different couple of seasons actually, because it's like season 3 and 4, which is the latest thing that's on Netflix. I think it's called Stardust Crusaders. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think of it so far? You said you're relatively early on in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, right?
Well, yeah, I am really early on. And it's. I mean, again, it's something. It's very bizarre. It's interesting though. I am enjoying Joseph Joestar's arc and his and Dio as well. Dio as the villain. Um, but it's one of those shows that for me is still like I can appreciate the hilarity of the entire circumstance, and I'm not really taking it too seriously, which I don't think anyone it's intended to, at least as of yet. Um, I feel like,
It definitely continues to be bizarre. There's no doubt about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um,
Because I mean, I remember when AJ was super deep in JoJo, and he was like geeking out over JoJo like every week, and it was just every time he was geeking out over it, it was just some ridiculous, bizarre scenario that he was explaining. I'm like, how or why, So,
it's the Hamon
um,
power,
it's yeah, exactly the
La
hamon,
Hamon.
the hamon. Oh my god, with the Dominican hamon.
Yeah, it's. I thought that always made me chuckle. I think we talked
You
about
hitting
that
them with the
last
ham, the
time. That's
ham.
basically, yeah, Spanish for ham.
Oh
So
god.
both of us speaking Spanish or understanding Spanish, whenever we hear them talking
Yeah,
about jamon power, we're like, they're powered by ham, bro. I love ham, but I don't know if I love it
I
that
know.
much. Um, but no, it's a worthwhile show. I I want to see more. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
Considering that it's continuing
Not
on
satisfied.
quite a bit.
Not
It's
yeah.
apparently quite a bit past that in the manga. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see. What about you, man? What have you been geeking out about over the last week or so?
Well, the main thing that I've been geeking out over is exactly what we're going to be talking about today as our main topic.
Mm,
So I'll get into that in a little bit,
yeah,
which is Attack on Titan.
so good.
But outside of that, I mean, I'm super geeking out over the MCU. I mean, I've been geeking out over everything that's been going on with WandaVision and stuff. Obviously, not going to really talk too much about it now. We're gonna kind of save that to have the whole crew together and next week and what is sure to be a huge reveal over the I guess the consequences of what happened in the last episode. So we're gonna kind of do a little bit of a bigger deep dive next week
Yeah,
after next week's
for
episode,
6
right?
and
So
7, right?
yeah, right, yeah, because we have 6 and 7, and then after that we have 8 and 9, and then we're done, right?
Yeah, that would be end of that, and
So
then we're pretty close. We probably actually would be coming right into Falcon and the Winter Soldier when that ends. If you think about it,
does it start pretty much right
it starts
away?
in March.
Oh
It's
snap!
freaking
Yeah. Oh
February, man.
wow.
So like
Oh
we have
man,
4 more
February's so short. Yeah.
episodes. Yeah, and I think it starts mid March. So basically,
Oh, so then it starts right when WandaVision ends because WandaVision ends mid
yeah,
March.
MCU knows what they're doing, man. They're building
Yeah.
super hype with
Yeah.
that. And then I think Loki starts, that's 6 episodes. I think that's confirmed to stay that way. And I think Loki starts
Mm-hmm.
in like April or May. So
Mm.
the hype
Well, I've
train.
been geeking out over MCU and Marvel comics, right? So
Yeah.
like obviously, with the whole fever of everything going on, I'm revisiting certain storylines that happened in the past related to what's kind of going on now, just to kind of see if I can find any bits and pieces that'll give me a clue as to what Marvel is doing with their castings and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and everything that's happening out that's coming out in WandaVision and stuff. I'm also able to finally hit a pile of books that I've been comic books that I've been just collecting that I haven't had a chance to actually read in the last like 3-4 months. So that's been cool. So I've been geeking out over the relaunch of Wolverine, which is super dope. Obviously, this is all kind of under Jonathan Hickman's, relaunch
Yeah.
of the X-Men
Mhm.
universe, and all the lines are basically he's like the executive creative director, everything end all be all with anything that has to do with X-Men right now, and Wolverine's, no different. It's really cool how they're creating these lines that are still very, very different, but in this new universe. Everything feels very fresh and involved without it being where I have to read X-Men, I have to read, X, Y, and Z comic book in order to understand what's going on with Wolverine, which is what
Mhm.
happened, towards the tail end of the, kind of previous era, the last 10 years of X-Men, where there were the convolution was too much, and it made it hard for anyone to kind of just jump in to X-Men comic books, over the last decade, which is why they decided to kind of fully relaunch it. So yeah, I've been geeking out over that, and I'm, hopefully I've only been able to catch. I'm into issue 4 of Wolverine, issue 12 of Savage Avengers,
Mhm.
which I cannot recommend enough. Savage Avengers is so dope. It's just so cool to see a comic line where it's like just all the most bad you know, people from Marvel that you just it's just having Conan, Venom, Wolverine, Doctor Strange, Elektra, and Doctor Voodoo, having all these people like on a team is just it's just so
They're
cool.
kind of
It's
the
like, yeah, let me
anti-hero.
get all the best, most like vicious characters in Marvel, and let's put them on a team, and let's send them on their way to hack, slash, and kill.
It's like a Suicide Squad, Marvel Suicide Squad,
You know what?
Savage
Yeah,
Avengers.
basically, sort of, right?
Not really, but
Um,
sorta. Yeah.
well, the thing with Suicide Squad is that like it's sort of in that sense, right? Like everyone on Suicide Squad, that they're gonna commit very atrocious acts, even if it's for the
To
good.
get the job done.
The
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of it. However, with Suicide Squad, it's a bunch of rejects, basically.
Yeah.
At least rejects, or people that are used to losing, being on the losing end of their storylines. right? Whereas this is all like the they're all superheroes, they're all badasses, but they're just frowned upon by like their peers, right? Like the X-Men or Cyclops
Yeah,
is like, Wolverine, you can't do
the
that. Or
anti-heroes.
Daredevil, yeah, they're the anti-heroes, but like not just the anti-heroes. They kind of revel a little bit in the gore, right?
Yeah,
Conan, Wolverine, and the Punisher, they enjoy the
they're
blood. So
savage.
yeah, it's Savage Avengers. So highly recommend. Savage Avengers is my favorite comic line right now. So,
That's a big.
but yeah, that's what I've been geeking
That's
out
a big,
over.
big claim. Just like the claim of that I was making about what we're going to talk about today, which is if this anime. Okay, so let's talk about Attack on Titan. Let's jump right into it. Right. Um,
Well, before, let me just say, like, I want to kind of, little anecdote. Yes, Savage Avengers is my favorite comic line right
right
now,
now.
just out of the pure enjoyment that I have out of it. I do still think that the best thing out in Marvel right now is the X-Men world. So anything X-Men is
So Hinkman,
super amazing. Like
Hinkman.
it's yeah, it's MCU level, twists and turns. So, I haven't seen something like this since Brian Michael Bendis took over the Ultimate line years ago and stuff.
I
So
mean, we were
anyway,
theorizing
yes.
some of Hinkman's stuff would be used in the MCU, so that's how good it is and how mind blowing some of it is. And we'll
Yeah, I
see.
think so.
Maybe
I
we'll
think
see.
so.
Maybe if that
Yeah.
still
That
happens.
might have been the plan, actually. That might have been the plan. It's like, hey, we're going to buy X-Men. Hickman, you need to rewrite the storylines that are going to end up being part of
That
MCU.
was
So it's like,
theorized that
yeah,
was
yeah,
part of the X-Men relaunch,
yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
it was
Hmm.
theorized that the No More Mutants storyline was actually something that they did
Yeah.
to
Hmm. Yep.
minimize mutants in the MCU. But we're getting off topic. That's stuff that we can definitely talk about in the future because those are
I was
huge,
just geeking out, man.
interesting topics for show. Um, I'm getting off topic, I should say, because yeah. So this show, Attack on Titan, which I've seen the sub, actually started with the dub. I prefer to start with subtitles in most anime, but by the time I found out about Attack on Titan a few years ago, it was after it had been popular for a little bit, and I didn't jump right on board. And then I saw the first season in the dub, and it it was good. It like the first season without the context of later seasons is I'll say this right now, for me it's kind of just okay, right? Well, when you get to season 2 and then on to season 3, like this show, I mean, and even on into season 4 now, which we're going to talk a little bit about that later on.
Hmm.
This show
Yeah.
is easily, if it sticks the landing, it could be one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen because I mean, I don't know. There's so many reasons why I love it. The characters are
I mean,
fantastic.
I'm with
You
you
know,
on that, man.
like
I am 100% with you on that. I think
yeah,
the internet is with you on that. This is one of those shows that I think, um, has brought basically fans of any and all kind of anime to one central point. You know what I mean? Like anime has an extremely, it's probably out of media, I would say that anime has the widest spectrum of genres,
yeah.
I think. And I think Attack on Titan has just like said everybody to like stop what you're watching and watch this. You know,
Almost no matter
I like to compare.
what genre you enjoy. Not no matter what genre you enjoy, but you're right. It's kind of there's universal
Yeah.
acclaim for this anime.
I tell everyone that this is to me the animated, as far as the stature, or yeah, I guess the stature of like what it is. I wouldn't compare it directly,
Mm,
because it's not in the same realm. Obviously, it's very, very different. Um, but I call this the anime's version of the Game of Thrones time frame that we had.
hmm
When Game of Thrones was out, like how there was like this fever of like, you got to watch this, you can't miss out, you got to watch it
It was
now. That's
viral.
what I feel like is happening with, yeah, it was viral. And I
hmm
think that's what's happening with Attack on Titan, and very much especially with season 4.
Yeah, season 4 has kind of solidified it for a lot of people, especially because there's been a big wait between a lot of these seasons, which took a lot of the air out of the
Yeah.
show at one point. But it seems
Yeah.
like fans are returning for like big time for season 4.
It's
And
kind of what happened with me.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's true because I have been following it and I didn't realize how excited I was for it until I realized that it was back out on Funimation. It was back being released again in Japan a few weeks ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because again, the show takes a while for these seasons to be produced, so you kind of forget about it for a bit, and then you're like, "Oh crap, Attack on Titan is coming out! Can't wait to watch it." And then for me, season 4 has been just. I think I don't know if you got this feeling, right? Because, well, at least for me, after watching season 4, when you see how some of these things have arrived at the point that they have,
Yeah.
and I had the
Hmm.
excuse that I had to watch the sub again, or I really felt like I wanted to watch the sub again and give it a chance because the dub voice acting is fantastic. But I felt like I had
Hmm.
to go back and like you see so many things that came to that point, and you want to look for the clues because you start to realize at least that you saw something in an earlier episode. And you were like, huh. It made you think. Like I think so. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
here's
Absolutely.
something that you mentioned, right? Okay, you talked about how, and we're definitely going to get into spoilers, obviously, with this show,
Yeah, 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 guys,
right?
please, if you gotta pause now, pause now.
Yes,
I will say this is one of these shows that you will not benefit by being spoiled.
not at all.
It's one of these shows that
It's got
like
layers.
spoilers are extremely, extremely detrimental to the enjoyment of the show, in my opinion.
It will break the show for you in many ways,
Yeah,
definitely.
it would be like like that's how strong these spoilers are.
I think because again, like the foreshadowing, the
Yeah,
pacing,
it's deep. It's
the
deep.
characterization, the dialogue, everything is just so well done. And like you mentioned this, right? Like so the moment I was going to mention is you talked about
Hmm.
how you knew that there was something bigger going on before you find out, right? So Attack on Titan, super quick synopsis. There's these characters basically that live inside these walls because they're these gigantic titans that roam outside the walls, and these characters that live inside the walls believe that all humanity has been wiped out by these gigantic like titan creatures that eat people. But by the time we get to the end of season 3, they find out that that's not the case, right? And that there are these people who can turn into titans themselves and control titans and have these crazy titan powers. And most of those titans are controlled by this other race of people that lives across the ocean that actually was
Hmm.
oppressed by the people that live inside the walls. But now everything is kind of reversed, and now those people, I don't want to get into too many details, but memories have been erased and people don't remember exactly how they got where they are, and now like it's kind of a reverse situation. Nobody knows where the titans came from, so it's this weird world, right? And everybody again thinks that humanity is wiped out. And you said this moment when the beast titan was talking about and making references to baseball in the show.
Yeah.
And this is
Hmm.
this is something that we're not shown exists in the world of Attack on Titan. And this is how thorough they are too, because just to give you all an idea, here's another detail about how much there is to notice in the world of Attack on Titan. Some characters that are revealed to have lived outside the walls are drinking coffee. It's a very common thing. You and I know what that is,
Yeah.
Wolfie. But one of the characters, Armin, refers to it as black tea. He doesn't know what the heck it is. So even little details like that you see earlier in the seasons are things that start to reveal to you, like, hey, like there's something with like these characters,
There's something missing, yeah,
and there's something
and it's that
missing.
information.
And another thing that I love about the show is it kind of delivers. So like it subverts your expectations. An example of that, and then I kind of want to ask, I guess, what you thought overall, real quick, since you just finished watching it. But like a moment for me
Mhm.
that's interesting to think about, that tells you like the detail of this show and the way that they kind of play with your expectations, but they still fulfill your expectation. Is the big arc of the show is the key, right? So the character Aaron,
Yes.
right? He's a very important character in the show. Again, if you're listening to this podcast, you're just listening to us wax poetic about it. You already know who Aaron is. You know his whole deal. You know what the key is. But the way that I really love how that storyline plays out is you have this thing that almost gets forgotten for a couple of seasons, right? He's
It didn't
always,
almost get forgotten. It totally did get
but
forgotten.
there's always those little
Even for
mentions,
the
right?
viewer.
Those little
Yeah.
mentions, and they come right on
Here and there.
time
Yeah, here and
to
there.
just keep your mind on it. That's it, right? But you
Right.
mostly
Yeah.
forget about it. And that's, again, I think, how well this show is characterized and paced. You mostly forget about it, and then it becomes a central point for which one of the characters, one of my favorite characters, Commander Erwin Smith, he basically he hinges humanity's fate on this key that Aaron's father entrusted to him that had the information, or he believed had the information on what the world was actually like and what the Titans were. Right. And they go into that basement finally after several seasons. This happens by the end of season
After all the
3, right?
seasons.
After all the seasons, basically, that we've seen of the anime. They go into that basement and he goes to open the door with the key, and he can't open the door with the key. So
Oh,
Levi,
that moment, like, dude, when that hit, I was like, no way.
right?
Is this not the key to that basement?
Right, exactly.
You
You're like
know?
that.
Which it
It
wasn't.
has to
It
be. It
wasn't.
has to be related to it somehow. You're like, we came all the way with this freaking key, and
Yeah.
all these people risked so many things, right? And then the key doesn't open the door, but then Levi, who's humanity's greatest soldier and is a totally awesome character, like totally does some amazing things. If you just love anime for action, he's
Levi
your character,
is
right?
yeah, Levi's the freaking man.
He and
Dude.
Mikasa is the woman. She's amazing as well. But
Yeah.
and
The
the Ackerman
Ackermans.
clan, right? Which,
Yeah.
again, fans know exactly what I'm talking about there. But so he tries to open the door with the key. Levi just kicks the door down. He says, we didn't. He basically says what every fan is thinking, which is, I think, another great aspect of this show. Like, we didn't come all this way for the freaking key to not work and for a freaking cheap wooden door to keep us from finding out what's in
Yeah,
this
to stand
basement,
in the way.
right?
Mhm.
So he kicks the
Yep.
door down, and then he finds out that you can open the drawer on his father's desk with the key, and then he opens the drawer and there's nothing in the drawer, and then Levi again,
But it had a
right?
Levi being who he is, he finds and realizes, wait, there's a false bottom. And he lifts the bottom, and what do we have in there?
There's all the information that basically we were looking forward to for several seasons. We hadn't even realized
Yeah.
we was so important. We forgot about. We got back to certain characters, forgot about how important it was. Like, the way that they carried you through the narrative is just incredibly well done and incredibly well paced, and gets better and better and better and better and better and better, I think, as the show goes on. But like I said, you just finished it, so like, what stood out to you about the show overall? Maybe like a moment or two, and we can get into it in a little bit more detail.
Well, so the thing for me with the show is that, like, it's kind of a unique show in the sense that we get in a way we kind of get what we get with a lot of shows, like with Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. We have these are shows that deal in the growth of the main characters, but over a long period of time, and we're talking about growth even just in age and eras of these characters' lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
This show shows the growth of Aaron over 3 phases of his life, in 4 short seasons. And it does it. I mean, I think 4 different phases. No, three different. We show him as a young kid,
Mm-hmm.
then we show him as a early teen, and then we show him in season 4 as a, would you say he's an adult at this point?
He's probably about 19 or 20, so that's
Yeah, he
about
seems
how
like,
old
and
he
definitely
is.
carries himself that way. So, like, it's interesting how they take us through the
Mm-hmm.
times, and how they do it. I thought it was really, really cool. But then at the same time, even though we're talking about like a span of, I guess, easily a total span of 10 years time, with like callbacks back and forth to basically when Aaron was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I take away from the show the most is really how well it's been written to be able to jump, these different eras in all these characters' lives, and then go back in time through foreshadowing and dialogue, as well as explaining the backstory of these characters much later on, giving that depth, changing basically what the character was in the first season, right? Like some of these characters, like
Mhm.
Raina and Berthold, to me, they were just normal characters in the whole first season. In the whole first season, they were just like side characters that I did not really care too much about, but then it turns out how crucial and important they are to the actual entire story of Attack on Titan.
Doesn't it feel almost intentional though how they are these side
That's what I'm saying. It
characters,
is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
right?
Like that's why I say that like it's been done so well from a writing perspective that they're able to do that. You know, like it was done with intention. It wasn't an afterthought. It wasn't a situation like Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z where it's like, hey, we're gonna create this character and all of a sudden people love him. So now we gotta like create a whole backstory and connect them and all that stuff and whatever. This was an intention from day one.
There was always
You know what I mean?
something odd
And
about
it's
them, right? But
yeah, and it yeah.
and you were like, why are they following these characters? And then you start to
Yeah, and
realize
then
why.
now the biggest thing that I have with season 4 specifically is how I don't and you tell me if you feel this way, but
Mhm.
I now like so I spent the whole first 3 seasons, hating everything that was happening to Aaron, Mikasa, and all the people that died along the way and stuff, and hating the Bertold and Reina and Annie and all that stuff. And now all of a sudden season 4, because we're getting the opposite perspective,
Mhm.
now I'm like, sympathizing with them and like almost kind of rooting for Berthold to kind of make it through.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel that
I
way?
think, well, see, here's
Like,
again
obviously, I
how
still.
great it is, because think about how they set up this season, the start of this season. The start of this season has
Oh, wait,
basically
wait, wait.
been
Yes,
well, go
I got
ahead.
a question. I got a question though. I
Yeah,
got a
go
question.
ahead. Go ahead.
Specifically on the start of the season. Did you know that was like current or in the basically the future? Because I thought that I was like I saw the first couple episodes as if I was getting like that the show was starting essentially like sometime in the past
Well, oh, when they showed
when they first
Zeke
started like the
and
war and
Ryan
like yeah
and
well
Reiner and
well
them.
like the kids like Gabi and Falco. I thought that I was looking at some that they were giving me some like flashback
You know
essentially.
why I didn't think that was the case. I think that they wanted you to be a little confused by that for a moment, but then you start to,
Yeah.
this is how you put together details in the show. You were like, where's Berthold? Where's the colossal titan? Why is he not involved in this battle? And you see how Reiner looks. He looks a little different. They made him look a little bit older when you look at him inside the armor
Right. Yes.
titan.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
There are these moments, and then you think about how they talk about in the anime that, so this is the nation of Marley, right? And this is they basically rule the world. They have the power of most of the titans, and they use a race called Eldians, which is the only race in the world that can turn into titans. They use them, but they also discriminate against them. They treat them like second class citizens, but they
Yeah.
use their children as soldiers. Basically, they're child soldiers, right? So, like, yeah, like, I think we're supposed to get this sense that we're not sure what time period it's in, but I definitely think that after watching it for a few minutes, I realized it was in the future. And then, see, for me,
The only reason I didn't see that is because the other big thing about season 4 is that they changed animation studios. So I wasn't sure if like the design of Rhina
yeah,
was like a timepiece thing or if it was just like how this new animation studio designed them because the animation style is very, very different. I want to actually talk to you about the differences in the animation
I
style.
definitely want to mention that, actually. You know what?
Yeah. So yeah,
The thing that I'll say is that what made me think that this was definitely sometime in the near future, and then placing the time period of the flashbacks, obviously when they name the characters, Reiner and them, and they talk about them. Um, I think it was because, how do I put this? I think it was because, well, yeah, what it was is because I realized that they were reframing essentially the same events that Aaron, Mikasa, and Armin went through, right? They were reframing them from the other side, and it was
yeah.
pretty
Hmm.
apparent right from the very beginning, because it was a little different because the tragedy didn't befall them in the same way that it happened to Eren, Mikasa, and Armin. But at the same time, they were forced to grow up, and then they joined this military group, and they were in a way indoctrinated. Right, Eren, Mikasa, and Armin were just the same as Reiner and Bertholdt and Annie and Marcel, who I think was the Jaw Titan that got eaten by Ymir. It's a very convoluted storyline,
Yeah.
but it still works because they tie it all together beautifully. But for me, that's kind of why I thought it was definitely the time, or that's why I deduced, I guess, what time period it was. But I do want to talk to you about the animation, but I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that I've enjoyed about season 4. So it was animated by Wit Studio, I believe, in seasons 1, 2, and 3. And the animation was fantastic. Just the way that the animation was so kinetic in earlier seasons was really great. But a thing that I enjoyed about this season so far with Mappa doing the animation, outside of the fact that it's technically also very beautiful, I think it's also very, very action packed and very, very well done. Um, that moment at the end of the episode where they were attacking the Warhammer Titan episode, right? You've seen
Right.
that insane, absolutely insane episode. It's something that people who have read the manga have been looking forward to. But at the end of that episode, when the people of Paradis, Levi and Mikasa and our entire crew are attacking the Jaw Titan and about to try to kill the Jaw Titan, just the way that they're kind of darting through the dark and like using their omnidirectional mobility gear to like fly around just before they attack the Jaw Titan at the end of the episode is really, really beautiful. There's a lot of moments like that
Yeah.
throughout. People have been complaining about the use of CGI. I'm going to say right now, if it's well done, I do not care. And I think it was really well done with this, like the fights between Titans in this season, which is where they mainly use it a lot. The Warhammer Titan looked great. But I mean, yeah, like the thing that I've enjoyed is that for me, Mappa has been animating in a way that's not as, and I don't know if you get this sense or if this makes sense to anybody that's watching the show. It's not as traditionally based on anime tropes. If you watch earlier seasons of Attack on Titan, you see, for instance, like characters when they get flustered or angry, the screen starts to shake and you see like air, like lines of like kinetic energy or air moving as they like scream and like get frustrated. And it's a little more grounded in something realistic this season. And I think the most perfect example for me, and I'll say this, and we can jump off from here maybe, I think, into a little bit deeper about what we love about the show. But for me, the Declaration of War episode, which is, so for those who have seen season 4, this is the episode where Willie Tybur basically gives that long and amazing speech at the same time as Eren is revealing everything that's been going on to Reiner for the first time in years. To me, that's like dang near the best 20 minutes of television I've ever seen in my freaking life. That entire episode from start to finish, the way that it's paced, the music is amazing, the dialogue in both Japanese and the voice acting in both Japanese and English, because I've seen them both, is absolutely fantastic. And again, just the way that entire episode is animated, some of the subtleties between how characters interact. There's a great moment with Commander Magath, who's one of the leaders of the Marleyan forces, where he's talking to Willie Tybur and basically revealing that he knows that there's somebody else controlling the world. He's playing his whole hand in terms of the conversation with somebody who's in power over him. And just the way that the characters play off each other is very realistic. The glances they give each other, things like that, right? So for me, like it just plays. It doesn't play like an anime. In like, at least it doesn't anymore. By the time we get to season 4, it's changing the conventions a little bit, and it definitely has its anime moments, and it has its anime action moments that are fantastic and wonderful. And if you love anime for that, like, you're gonna love it. But the way that it relies on incredible dialogue, incredible foreshadowing, um, plays on words. I mean, I have another moment that I want to
Right.
talk about, but like, what do you think about basically jumping off of that? Like, what you really enjoyed about it, season 4 and the show as a whole?
So, as far as the anime itself, like the animation, I thought that the animation was it. You know, the thing is that the animation of the first three seasons was so different from everything else, with like the way they use bold lines
Hmm.
in, especially in the action sequences and stuff like that. I thought it was a little bit like it was hard. You know, it was like kind of very like in your face when you saw it. But you know the thing with the new studio is that I, I do love a lot of what they're doing in this one.
Hmm.
I can speak to the same thing, right? Like I haven't seen an animation studio that can do like very, very, very realistic human mannerisms in the animation, right? Especially when it's not a film. This is a TV series, and TV series usually have a lot more budget animation.
Hmm.
The studio will give one department the animation of the general town, another department the animation of the main characters, another major department or even a branch studio the animation of key scenes and action sequences, which is why sometimes you'll see kind of a disparity between different animation sequences within one episode. But the quality animation is again one of the best I've ever seen, you know. But that being said,
Hmm.
as much as I am enjoying it, I'm not sure if I'm actually not sure if it's better,
Hmm.
simply because the animation of the first three seasons was so different from anything else that I've seen in animation before, that it kind of had its own, you know, like I guess its own character, like the styling of whenever you saw like big titan battles with super thick bold lines, that just kind of, I felt, to me, made it a little bit more visceral than what I've seen in the fourth season. In the fourth season, there I feel like there's even more visceral scenes of titans, eating and destroying and all that
Hmm.
stuff. But without those strong, bold lines that we were seeing in some of the action sequences of the first three seasons, I almost felt like it wasn't as impactful. I don't know if that makes sense to
That
you.
makes sense. That makes
Um,
sense. I can
it's
see
hard
that.
for me to judge one as better than the other, because I think that the general skill of the animation in the fourth season is better. I just I guess it's like some of the action sequences, some of the more hard visuals are, I guess, less in your face because it's not the same animation
Like for instance,
to me.
the CGI battle. So, did you have an opinion of kind of how the CGI Warhammer Titan versus the CGI uh Aaron looked in that sequence? Because they've definitely used CGI for the Titans before, but
Yeah,
I'm not
they have.
sure
Yeah.
if they've done
Well,
it
I think the
this much for
CGI
an
is
action
much
sequence.
better. I think the CGI is much better in season 4, 100%.
Mm,
I think this is how you do CGI. The CGI is that good, especially with like the action sequences and the way they're hitting angles. Like you can't really replicate that in with traditional animation very well. You can't create like these fast changes in angles and perspectives and
right.
rotations
The way they move
through
in that
traditional
gear
animation.
is so it's like
Yeah, exactly.
Spider-Man, but almost faster. It's crazy.
Exactly, right? You can't really do that. So
Mm,
I think the CGI is much, much better. And But again, it's one of those things that, like, I remember, I'm not gonna lie, I had legitimate nightmares sometimes watching Attack on Titan. If I was watching like the some scenes of like the first and second season, I'm watching it like 2, 3 in the morning, and there are these like very like strong contrast colors of flesh and black bold lines, and bodies being chewed, and these weird faces of titans that have like these strong smiles, um drones. It's just like it was really, really
like
hard.
the Titan that ate
But
Aaron's mom, the stuff of
yeah,
nightmares.
that's like that. Yeah, that would give anyone nightmares. In this fourth season, the visuals are amazing, but it just looks more like a traditional anime.
Mhm.
So again, to me, is just maybe a little less visceral because of it.
It's been really great. I think the one thing that we can definitely agree on is the kineticism of the action. for the most part, at least maintains in terms of the CGI this season. Like the speed and like just the way that the action moves is very, very good. But I can see where you're coming from when it comes to like, I wonder what the again, the Warhammer Titan is the example, what that would have looked like with the bold lined look of the first 3 seasons.
Right. Yeah, because those bold lines around the face the Warhammer of the Warhammer Titan, around the Jaw Titan too. Like I think the Jaw Titan is probably one of my favorite Titans.
Yeah, I agree. That was actually really
The Jaw
cool.
Titan, yeah.
And
Yeah, the Jaw Titan is so interesting looking. And he's kind of like a Wolverine kind of Titan and stuff with like the nails and everything. I would love to see like those bold, sharp. That's the other thing too. Like it was like sharp edges to some of these bold lines too. Like it's just I think it would have been cool to like have that style still implemented at least in some of the battles, you know, of this season because I love the animation as a
mhm.
whole. Is just in the battles on Titan or when the big strong action sequences. I kind of just miss these sharp bold
I
lines.
wonder if it will end up being something that they use more heavily in those sequences, since they were more like Titan attack sequences at night. Maybe those bold lines aren't going to be as strong in a night sequence. Maybe they'll lean back more. Not that
I
they're
don't
going to lean
know.
back more on it, but maybe
Yeah.
it'll look different when they have some battles in the daytime. We'll see what it looks
I don't
like
know.
then.
I think this is just like a style thing, for this new studio because we've had plenty of like nighttime battles in the previous ones. It's not like they can't do it or that like it just looks weird. Um but I also have read some of the manga,
Mhm.
and I will say that like the the sketches, the drawings, the art in the manga itself, I still think is almost like it's a mix between the two animation styles. To be
You
honest.
know what? From what I understand, I haven't read the manga, but I've done a little bit of research into Hajime Isayama, who is the manga artist, and this is his first manga. I'll say this is his first manga, right? And he hasn't done anything before this. And I think, and tell me if you kind of agree with this, because it's something that's been noted in the artwork in the manga as he's done it so far, and I think it's something that should be noted in the storytelling. And I don't know if it was
Mhm.
intentional or not, but I mentioned earlier that when I saw the first season, I was like, "Oh, this is a good show." I wasn't blown away, right?
Same.
Right. I feel like him being a rookie at making this manga, at creating this manga, I think that the quality of something that people have talked about is the quality of the artwork has gotten better and better and better and better. Because at first, even he himself said his artwork is pretty crap, right? And he's just gotten to a point where he's learned over the years and gotten some to where he can create some real cohesion and something interesting on the page, as well as some really really well lined and beautiful artwork, right? And I think the
Yeah.
storytelling has progressed as much in the same way, because the first season again it's kind of your standard like action manga.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, it just
just
seems
these
like
monsters
a
that they
pretty
fight,
good,
right?
yeah. It's like a new style of a kaiju manga or anime. It just seems like a normal anime.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, it definitely
which
seems
kind
like
of like, for
something
example,
normal.
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones seemed like a normal, medieval show in the first
Hmm.
season.
And then it opens
You
up
know,
into a much much bigger world as the seasons
yeah,
go on.
much more fantasy.
And this I feel like you open up with something that's like fun but relatively standard for the most part. And then you get to season 2 and you start to see these characters get fleshed out and some really great world building, I think, in season 2, right? Because you learn a
Right.
lot more about
Right.
life within the walls and how the government works, how the different like the different parts of the military work. And I think that's where, at least for me, that's where the show starts to open up, right? Because season 2 is a little bit shorter also, and they get into the meat of this in season 3 where it gets very very
Mm-hmm.
complex. But
Yeah.
season 2 you have a pretty simple arc. They figure out that Annie is the female titan, and they're fighting her and they're trying to catch her and they're trying to use Aaron's power for the good of humanity. And as those scenes start to try to open up into season 3, that's where it becomes something I think really, really great and really, really special,
Mm-hmm.
because all of those seeds that were planted in earlier seasons start to actually make sense. I mean, for me at least, that's how the show mostly turns out. It gets better and better and
Yeah, I
better and
mean
better.
that's pretty much. I think that that's what makes the show so good. Is that like the first season was gripping enough to say that I enjoyed this show. I'm gonna stay invested and keep going. And then you have all the stuff, all the callbacks, all the foreshadowing that ends up giving you a huge payoff for being invested, and then it makes you want to go back to the first season.
So,
You know,
do, do
yeah.
you have like let's talk about some favorite moments, some favorite characters, favorite Easter eggs and details that I've definitely mentioned, and maybe some that you've or that I've definitely noticed, I should say, maybe some that you've noticed as well that I
Hmm.
haven't seen. Who
Hmm.
for you is maybe one of your favorite characters on the show for Attack on Titan? I know there's a lot of good ones, but do you have one that you
I mean,
favor?
it's it's kind of tough because for the longest time it was Mikasa,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or Mikasa, depending on whether it's the dub or the sub.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so yeah, I think it's kind of tough. It was her for a long, long time, especially because she had a really interesting backstory,
Mm-hmm.
and just a lot of mystery and stuff. But then when we got into season 3 and we got into Levi's
Mm-hmm.
backstory, man, that one really, really, you know, like killed it for me. Like Levi being an orphan and then being trained by like this gunslinger type of dude
Kenny the Ripper.
like that. Yeah, again, the Ripper. And then he really kind of like, like it's like he let go of the chains. You could see like almost a psychotic look on his face as he was fighting Ken the Ripper, and then as he was fighting the Beast Titan. He really became my favorite character, especially because he became the leader that had to make the tough choices. You know, the choices that
Mm-hmm.
that um that nobody wants to make, especially any leader. Like he had to choose between, whose life to save between Armin and Erwin. You know, and ultimately he did. Both decisions were unpopular depending on who it was, and even when he decided to like follow Erwin's, recommendation and save Armin, he saved Armin, but then he still put Aaron and Mikasa in the stockades for questioning his authority in the beginning, in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
even though he saved Armin, which is the point of contention. They were contending with him. Levi wanted to save Erwin. uh Mikasa and Aaron were, kind of going against his orders and stuff, and trying to fight him on that, and trying to get him to save Armin.
Yeah, Mikasa freaking attacked him and had
Yeah,
her
exactly. I
blade
mean,
to
yeah,
his throat for a moment, right?
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? But there was, but it's what I'm saying. Like he's proving himself to be like an actual, leader in every sense of the word. And I just like how badass he is, even when he has to work with. He's currently right now working
With Zeke, right?
with what's
With
his name, with
the
Zeke.
Beast Titan.
He's working with him, but he's letting him know that like I can't wait to kill
He's
you.
got a great sense of
You know.
humor in that way, like a really dark sense of humor, right?
I don't think that he's laughing
No,
about this. I don't think he's
no,
joking.
he's not. But the moments, like, so for instance, I think one moment that I really, really enjoyed is so like when he fights the Beast Titan in that scene just before you're talking about where he has to choose between saving Commander Irwin, and saving Armin. This is after Armin has
Yeah.
defeated basically helped to defeat the Colossal Titan by letting himself get
Hmm.
burned to death, and Irwin
Hmm.
got a rock through his abdomen from the Beast Titan in a suicide charge to give everybody time to like protect
Right.
Aaron, right? So he like when he's attacking the Beast Titan, what is he? He's basically saying like, "What was all that you were laughing about a moment ago?" Because the Beast Titan was like attacking everyone and laughing at how he killed everyone, and he's like, "Weren't
Right.
you having so much fun a moment ago?" Like he's just like taunting him as he attacks him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And even in season 4, when you see the Marlians get captured by Levi and his squad, He says that line, "Welcome to the filthy island of filthy devils. You're gonna love it, especially if you love pig piss." Like it's just like
Yeah, there is that too. Yeah,
he just has these
you know,
moments
again,
where he taunts people that are pretty fantastic.
you know what it is. He's kind of become unfiltered. You know, I think
Hmm.
early on he was very filtered. He was very reserved. He was, the consummate anti-hero. He didn't really want to be in the position that
Hmm.
he was, but he just went along with it because of a sense of duty and everything. But now that he's kind of like taking ownership of leading the charge, and he's found out the truth of everything, now he's, not only he's leading, but he's also like unfiltered, and there's like almost like a little scent of a disdain for making him go through all this stuff,
Yeah, I
you
think
know.
I think he's carrying a little bit of one of my previous favorite characters, probably my second favorite character, but Irwin. He's carrying that devil,
Yeah.
right? Because he's carrying a little bit of
Yeah.
that. He's trying to carry that fire and carry on like that amazing speech that Erwin makes before that charge, by the way. And if you
And
want somebody to
speaking of
see how
like
amazing the show
characters,
is, just show them something like that. But
speaking of the characters, this is another one of those shows. Well, not another one of those shows, because I can't recall another show that's kind of like this. But
mhm.
I would say that the main character, Aaron, is not very likable.
I mean,
I can't say that I really liked Aaron until maybe I guess the end of the third season, or maybe even just this fourth season, where I see him more as an adult and a little bit more like with more conviction, because he's been a bit of a whiny brat. And then the show is still so good because of all the supporting characters, because of
yeah,
Armin, Mikasa, Levi. It's one of those shows that has like an amazing supporting cast when it comes to an animated show. You know?
he's like the thread that makes it somewhat conventional in a way. And I think,
Yeah,
again, that's kind
yeah.
of intentional. He's your conventional protagonist. He's got a revenge arc, but the way that they've kind of flipped on it on his head and almost made him almost like a villain this season, right? Because he's killing people
Right.
without
Yeah.
remorse.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's
Hmm.
he turns into the Attack Titan. He eats Willie Tiber. He kills civilians. He kills soldiers. He kills kids. He doesn't care what's going on. He's just about his revenge in that moment, and he even says it many times. He's turning into a monster in a very
But
real way.
again, it's also like what I said. Like it's almost like they kind of flipped the script, and now I feel bad for the
Hmm.
Marleans. Like I feel bad for Gabby and Falco and Rhina. I feel bad for their struggle and all that. So like I can't wait to see what's happening and everything. But at the same time, I don't really know who I want to win now.
It's
You
hard to
know?
say, and even
Yeah.
Aaron's own friends are not really sure that who they
Oh,
want to
Aaron's
win
own
right now.
friends hate Aaron right
Like
now. Not
basically,
only do they hate Aaron, but Aaron himself has also told Ryan. Basically, there was a moment in the
mhm,
show that was signaling to the viewer that like we're switching places, and it was the moment that Aaron had told Ryan that you and I are both the same. I am doing this to save the world the same way that you were trying to save the world, but I am gonna kill. And then he just like turned into a titan with no remorse, and then causing the death of hundreds of people in the crowds and stuff. And he turned into this monster, and you feel bad for Rhina and Falco and everything
you
around
know how
them.
that's a
It was almost like that was the moment that they decided to like let's switch who you're rooting
well,
for.
that's written in a way as a turning point as well, because something that I recall from the rewatch is that in earlier seasons, when when Aaron is looking for inspiration on how to continue in the face of all the bad stuff that's happening, people getting eaten by titans and all that stuff, what what Reiner says to him is, "You just keep moving forward," which is what Aaron echoes in this episode. It's exactly what
Yeah,
he
that's true.
says right
Yep.
back to him.
Yep.
So like that's
Hmm.
some of the amazing foreshadowing and characterization that you get in this show. For me, like my favorite character, it's a little weird because it will be a tropey character in an American show, but it's kind of like the Q, the geek girl of the squad. I really like Hanji. I think Hanji is freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah, she's funny.
She,
She is very very
she's
interesting.
such an
She's
awesome
interesting
nerd.
in the sense that like that she's super smart,
Hmm.
pretty cunning, but also can seem aloof and can almost seem dumb sometimes.
Yeah.
But then she's also like has like a very strong stomach. for anything that has to do with torture, or she's a very interesting
She's
character.
twisted in a way. That's what's interesting
She's
about her.
twisted. That's the word. She's probably got the most twisted mind out of the little crew there.
I mean, remember, she was the one
100%.
who kept those two titans as pets. Sawney and Bean were their names.
Yeah.
She was keeping those titans as pets just to like find out more information about them. And I mean, yeah, a lot of what you said is the reasons why I enjoy her as a character. I think that she's really, really intelligent and really interesting. There's something off about her. She's kind of like the whole darn show. It's like something's off about you. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but we're gonna find out.
Right.
And like you definitely get more of that as the seasons go on. You get these moments that explain a little bit more of who she is as a character. And I mean, I don't know. I just think that she's probably my favorite character. So yeah, like it would definitely be Hanji. I guess other than that, I just want to say if there's any favorite moments you have in the show.
Oh man.
Anything. I know that's hard to pick, but I'll say for me
that is tough.
For me, I've rewatched. This is how I'm picking it. I've rewatched the Irwin Charge several times. I think I definitely seen some of these season 4 episodes many times. But the Irwin Charge, where he does the suicidal charge on the Beast Titan, and he's screaming to his soldiers about their sacrifice and how his soldiers' rage is just absolutely a sick and amazing and really, really awesome moment in the series. And it's just before a big turning point too, which is why I think it's just so great. It's a huge climax, and you see just a big turning point for a lot of the characters at that point.
It's tough for me to pick a favorite moment. It is very, very difficult. I can't really pinpoint a favorite moment for some reason. I mean, I'm definitely getting a lot of visuals in my mind of like just Levi, kicking butt.
Maybe his fight with the Beast
I think
Titan.
I would say the very when he that charge was meant to be a distraction so that Levi can go and attack the Beast Titan, which he was able to do, and he just went to town, slicing and dicing him up. The only
Took
thing,
his arm off, cut off his ankles.
the only thing is that like that moment didn't have the payoff because the Beast Titan survived, right? Oh man, it's really difficult for me to choose a favorite moment.
That was a great moment, though. Okay. So, how about all right? One moment that I need to
rewatch it all over again for me to choose a favorite moment. But right now it would have to be. You know what? I gotta actually agree with you. The charge.
The charge
was probably like what it's got to be like it's one of those moments in the entire show where it's like, this is it. This is the moment. This is either they're either gonna live or die here. They're either gonna win or lose in this moment.
Irwin is such a great character as well, so it makes it a really, really great moment. Okay, Easter egg.
I do have to wait. I do have to say that like I guess one of my other favorite moments is that moment that he shook Rhina's hand.
In season 4,
and then
right here.
Yeah, in season 4. Yeah, like in this moment, because this is also the moment. Basically, you know what it is? It's basically the moment that he revealed himself. Because this is my favorite moment. It's the moment that he revealed himself to Rhina, because this is the moment that for me, Eren became, the actual hero. This is the moment that he stopped being this whiny kid that didn't understand the world or didn't understand his power and didn't understand what was going on. And now you see a character that has conviction, that's willing to, fake who he is, go undercover just for this one moment. And he knows that he's about to, commit some atrocities, and he's not even blinking.
That's at the end of one of my favorite 20 minutes of television ever, so I have to agree that that's
awesome this to me is probably my favorite moment of the whole show.
So
it's the moment that Eren finally comes into his own.
So Easter eggs that I noticed. Let me know if there's one that you noticed real quick, and then we're gonna wrap this big old conversation about Attack on Titan, nerding out and geeking out up. Did you notice that when Aaron, or did you notice the significance of this? When Aaron is having that conversation, I think, with Falco, with the young man that ends up with him and Reiner in that basement just before he
Right.
transforms. Did you notice that the thing that he was playing with was a baseball glove? The thing that was sitting next to him, a baseball glove and a baseball. And who else plays baseball but that fella that you mentioned earlier? That was a
Zeke.
hint.
Yeah, no, I did notice it.
That was a
Yeah,
big
I
hint.
did notice it.
That was a
Yep.
dope hint. Something I noticed in earlier
That's
seasons.
true. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put two and two together. Oh
Right? He
yeah.
tossed the baseball in the air. They made a moment of that. They showed the baseball for a whole moment. So they were definitely like,
That's true.
they were definitely trying to tie you to get to realize
Yeah.
that he and Zeke are actually working together now. And that's how great this show is.
Yes.
It's how
Oh
amazing
man,
this show
that's
is.
a good one. That's a good tie-in. Oh, that makes total
Here's a
sense.
deep
Yeah,
cut. You
for
might not
sure.
have noticed this one, but earlier on in, I think this is in season 2. No, it's maybe season 3. I don't recall the exact episode, but this is when Ymir, and she was then calling her, I can't recall what she was calling herself before. Historia, right? Ymir and Historia,
Yeah.
the girl who can turn into the Jaw Titan before the Jaw Titan that we see this season. When the crew, and it's Reiner Bertholdt, I think it's Reiner Bertholdt, Armin, Jean, and Ymir and Historia, I think they're on top of that tower that the Titans are attacking, and that thing's about to fall over. You remember that scene vaguely, right?
Vaguely.
Right? So the Titans are attacking. They're trying to bring it down, and then that girl Ymir turns into the Jaw Titan. She finally reveals herself. She turns into the Jaw Titan. She starts ripping them up. She starts ripping up the Titans, but the tower falls over. It's about to fall over into some Titans. Did you notice? You're gonna have to go back and look at this. Bertholdt, this is before he's revealed to be the Colossal Titan. He's about to bite his hand. There's a frame where they're falling down into the Titans. He's about to bite his hand to save his own butt.
Oh really?
And turn into the Colossal Titan.
You're gonna have to give me the episode and timestamp on
I will definitely do that. That's something that I
need to
noticed.
take
I
a
was
look at
like,
that. Yeah.
I've looked at it again, and he's definitely just like, he's frozen, about to take a little chunk out of his hand and do something weird. So there's lots of little Easter eggs like that. If we tried to talk about all of those, we could fill up a whole other episode. But
100%.
I think we're gonna.
This is one of those shows where like the devil's in the details.
Wink, wink. That's another show where the devil's in the details. And by the way, let's end it on that note. Next week, we're going to bring you a great conversation about WandaVision episodes 6 and 7 with some more of the crew. I definitely enjoyed it this week, and I'm definitely looking forward to episode 7, just as I have with every other episode so far. Well done, MCU. Well done, Marvel. We want to thank y'all for joining us with this conversation about Attack on Titan this week. As usual, once again, thanks for dealing with us with any sound issues or artifacts that you heard throughout the episode. If you have any feedback for us, please let us know. And as usual, the best way to support your favorite podcast crew is to like, rate, share, and subscribe to your favorite podcast. You know the drill. You can find us where all your favorite podcasts are sold. We are the Get Geek Podcast. And thank you to our fans out there. We definitely enjoyed this conversation. Y'all definitely need to check out Attack on Titan. And I don't know if there's anything else to say other than
Stay geeky, my friends.
Yeah.
Did I do it? Did I do it okay?
I think you did it fine. You wrap it up there. Let's wrap it up, guys. Wrapping it up.
Let's go wrap it up, guys. Talking to the guys in the back. Wrap it up. Yep. Wrap it up now. There's no guys in the back.